So today we are going to look at the final round of the MSO tournament. So basically this guy, I actually know him in advance before the competition. He is actually from Hong Kong as well. So I kind of know him in person, but I'm not very familiar with him. But I know that in Hong Kong, he is 4 dan to 5 dan. I'm not so sure, but must be a very strong player. So let's have a look at the game. I am having the Blackstone, so I just played the 2 Hoshi as usual, and then I saw that he played 2 Komoku. I approached one of them, and then he played this higher pincer, which is a little bit uncommon because most likely we saw a lot of people play 1 space lower pincer, 3 space, but 1 space higher approach is rarely seen. So I think he has been investigated or studied this kind of variation, but at the same time, I also know some of the variation. So I was not very worried about this when I saw he play this. And then I played the attachment and then I cut. Before AI was invented, the Joseki goes something like this. Goes something like this. Professional players did play this kind of variation a lot before, but now I don't think professional players play this anymore. The reason is we know that it is better for the white. One of the reason is white is having the sente, and second is the influence of this is too huge. Making black has not a very good invasion on the left-hand side. And one of the most important thing is 7 is actually a must because you actually cannot also play something larger because you have to afraid of this kind of Hane and Tiger Mouth threatening. So if you are playing this kind of Ataris to capture this group, if he has lots of code threat, he can start the code. So if you lose the code, then he has something like this to capture 2 stones. So this is the reason why the 7 must be played on G17. And I know that because there was some professional even suggested to play this one, but of course this is a little bit too inefficient. Most people played here anyways. But this is the Hane and Tiger Mouth is the reason why 7 is a must. So after the AI was invented, we noticed that this kind of variation is a little bit off. And if you pull up an AI and try to analyze, if your computer is not very, very amazing or your AI is not very amazing, they obviously will suggest you to play this one as well. But if you have analyzed it long enough, the AI will suggest you to play this one like what I did in the real game. And similarly, so if white is playing something like this one, then black and Atari, and then play this one, and then sacrifice the zone here, and then play something like this one to enclose the white into the corners, so the influence of black is a little bit better than white.
Obviously, this is not acceptable for white.
Yeah, so white must not play go inside, and so in the real game, our opponent play perfectly. He played this one, which is what AI suggested, and I played the Hane, and then he played the Atari. So actually, I made a mistake here because I did not really fully familiar with this Joseki. So AI suggested me to play this one. I only know that this Joseki black should be played here, but I don't know the afterwards. And I always think that capturing the corner should be good enough for the black. So I did not think of other variations, but AI told me that at this point, black should play this one. And sure that if white is playing something like this one, then I can play Tiger Mouth here to secure the corner. So I don't have to play something on C17. So here the best move for the white would be something like this one to making sure that black has to spend a move here. But the variation afterwards will be very complicated, which is out of the scope of this review. Feel free to have a look in AI yourself, but we may not talk about this in this video. But it goes something like this. If white is playing captures, then it is slightly better for the black for this result after black played this one. Okay, so in the real game, I play the tiger mouth, the capture corner, which in my perspective, I am very happy with this result because I have a very huge corner given that white was occupying the corner first. But similarly, like the traditional joseki, this result is slightly better for the whites due to the reason that the influence is strong and there's not a lot of good invasion on the left-hand side. So he decided to play into the 3-3. To be honest, if I were white, I would not choose this invasion because I think it's time to like enlarge the area here. So I may choose the approach, but going into the 3-3 isn't a mistake as well. So I block, and then he played this one, extend, aiming to get a sente. So after he played this one, I immediately invade here because I know that it is very large on the left hand side. So I want to prevent him to have a big territory.
Because if white could play a 1-point jump enclosure, the edge become territories of the white. And
yeah. So if black is playing something like, for example, if black is playing Tanuki, then if white is playing the jump, then it will be very difficult for black to invade on the left-hand side. And at the same time, in the future, this kind of extension could be huge, will provide white an opportunity to get a very solid area from the side to the center. So this is the reason I must get a sente and invade here. My opponent replied with a very simple joseki, which is the Kosumi, which I did not expect. I thought my opponent may play something like this one, kick and jump or kick and knight move to attack these two stones because he has very good influence here. So I cannot play this 3-space extension because this group is strong, then he can invade here or invade here. But if I'm playing a smaller one, he can still attack my group by this kind of move or this kind of move. Exploits the influence of this group. So I was expecting my opponent play the kick or possibly this kind of pincer. But pincer I was not very afraid of. The reason is if he pincer, then I have many different strategy to make sure that he is over concentrated. For example, this one. This is one of the way that I can make him over concentrated and escape or even play something like this one. And another choice would be something like repincer. And if he play this one, I'll go back. And if he play this one in the future, there may be some a life shape in here or possibly here to not let white to get too many territories. So I was expecting something like pincer or kick. But my opponent played this one. It looks a little bit strange for me because it seems it does not give a lot of pressure to this stone. I can either choose the 2-space extension or I play this one like in the real game to settle down my group. And if these two stones is settled, then the influence of this group will not be very effective. So this was not really what I expected in the game. But turns out AI feels like this move is okay. So my opponent seems to have better understanding than me in the openings. Okay, so here he played a 3-space pincer, which is very often AI suggests. Usually AI would not suggest a too close pincer because this is an influence. There are lots of invisible center here, like this kind of move. So you don't want to place the stone too close to these 3 stones to let black to attack this stone. So 3-space pincer is usually suggested by the AI. So definitely he has a lot of study from the AI. So that's why he can pick this move immediately. And then I was thinking about what joseki I should choose here. So basically there are a few options here. The first option would be something like finishing the joseki here. One of the option. Second option would be something like invade, and if he jump, I would jump. And then the third option,
I don't like this. I feel like
you don't like this.
Yeah, black is a bit passive.
Passive, right? The third option is the cap. That's what I chose in the real game. So so first let's talk about this one. So I thought about this one. So if I finish Joseki, for example, something like this. This should be something that I want to play, but I don't think White will finish the Joseki like this with me. So I think White will play this push, and then after this one, and then if he do this one, something like this, and then captures. I was a little bit afraid of this extension because there's a stone here. But to be honest, I know that the variation is very complicated, and it is possible that black can also play this. It goes something like this, and 7 is a must. 17 is a must because if you play this one, the clam can kill the black by something like this. So, black does not have enough liberty. So if you harn it and you play this one, then you have to start the code something like this. So I did not want to get into this kind of complicated Joseki, which I don't know, but it is possible your opponent may have prepared. So I don't want to get into this. So that's why I did not choose this one. So I choose a little bit indirect way. So if I can exchange these two moves and then I play this one. So if he's still going to play this, then the move on M5 should be able to help this group. So that's why I play the cat first.
That's a nice idea.
The second option was this one, so which Michael did not like. But to be honest, I think AI suggested this may be the best move. I'm not sure, but this is reasonable indeed. So if he jump, black can also jump. So Michael thought that this 3 stones is a little bit passive, which is right. But at the same time, White will be having a little bit difficulty to attack these 3 stones. So the reason is there are too many invisible center here, making black will not be that lonely. So even this group is being, for example, if you jump, black can, for example, play this one to escape, where 5 is very common escape method nowadays. And even if White surround this group, so for example, you play this one, there are still many ways for for black to go out. And even if going out is not a good option, there are always this kind of moves to make sure that black group is alive. So I'm not saying that it must be better for the black, but this is an option. So, but in the real game, I thought that K3 is a little bit too aggressive, because White has a very strong thickness here, and this Kasumi also plays here. Will lead to White having a superior position if I choose to fight in his territory. So I thought playing this one could be a little bit more balanced move, especially in a fast game. So he decided to play this one, very reasonable, and then I go on to finish the Joseki there. And then he played this one, and then at this point when he Atari here, I remember I think for a few moments, because I was actually looking for capturing this stone, because I am quite familiar with this capture, because I know if White play this one, then if I play the Atari, then I have to play the code with White. Then I saw that I have this kind of code threat in the beginning of the game. If he, for example, here, I think that it is better for black if White plays something like this.
I like the black.
Yeah, I like the black as well, but I spent a little bit of time to read this variation, and I wanted to play something like this. So normally we don't want to start the code in the early of the game, but after the cap and the knife move, I have this amazing code threat, but White has no code threat on the board. So I was thinking something like this, but I was afraid that even if I play this one, and then if White is replying, and then if I capture, then if he connects, then normally I can accept that the right hand side if white play the connects, because now the exchange of 3 and 8 is better for the black. But I don't know. So after, for example, if I play this one, or I play this one, or even I play something like this one, white will still capture this one. But I'm not sure that if the benefits I gain from the right hand side can compensate the loss I give out from 5 and 6. So this is something that really difficult to justify.
Also,
Because,
I don't
yes,
see how black could manage afterwards for the bottom right corner.
yes, it will be a little bit difficult. But because 3 and 8 is a beneficial exchange for the black, so I think black here may play something like this. If white is play something capture very simple, then it is okay for the black. But I'm just not sure that if 5 and 6 the exchange, because 5 and 6 this exchange is naturally a very, very
Bad move.
very losing move.
Yeah, losing.
So I was a little bit unsure that if I should try this kind of variation. But AI think this is okay. So AI suggested that I should actually play the capture, or it may not be the best, but this is one of the options. So 5 is actually really a good co-threat. But in the real game, I cannot justify which is better. So I go on to play the Joseki that I know the best. So I can just connect. And I also read some variation afterwards, and I think the tiger mouth here, and then this attachment is good for black because now he cannot play the no sit and a cut, because if he no sit and cut and I can comfortably push here, if I capture this 2 stone, then it will make white have to get a very large area in the center to win this game, given that there are no many territory for the white now, because the top left hand corners belongs to the black, is black, and then here black get a very satisfactory territory, and it's possible in this position white play this one, then black play this one, then the right hand side could possibly be black territory.
Actually, I don't really think that. I think white is fine. I think it's a 50-50 game.
Yeah,
for example, if white play the d6, then the moyo is quite large too, yeah.
I don't agree with this, because I think the center they won't be able to get a lot of points because there are too many test strategies here. So this kind of test strategy, which is very difficult for white to apply in the future. So you must really have to connect here. Then like this kind of move would be very difficult for white to reply. So, and also at the same time, 12 is not really a must. So if at this point, for example, if black is playing something like this one, then it is very difficult for white to decide if he should play another move here. So if he is playing here, then naturally the 12 and 13 is beneficial for the black. So if you are, for example, Tenuki, then this kind of invasion could be difficult for white to reply. And even if black is playing very softly, play the jump, then you will see that these 2 moves looks very simple, very soft and very slow. But after these 2 exchange, this influence become not very useful, and the points become very, very significant now for the black. So I think this kind of variation should be good for black. But of course, because white does not make a lot of huge mistakes, then even this kind of variation is good for black, it would not be benefits for a lot. But I like this kind of I like the black more. So he played the jump, which is what AI suggests as well. Really, really good move. So when he played the jump, I noticed that he is very, very good, and he can read all the variation that I read in my mind. So he definitely noticed
because
that.
Normally we will play around here, right? Even if I don't play that card, I will think about something like the N2 or N4. I don't know, something like this. But I will think of the jump.
Yes, you're right. So our intuitive, when your opponent play this attachment, usually you will think about like this one to safeguard the stone on M3, or this one to counter attack. This is very intuitive move, especially in this kind of fast game. But my opponents definitely read very nicely, and he noticed that the push and cut is not good for white, and that's why he played the jump, which is also the best move as AI suggested. So this is really, really good. And then actually I also know that if he play this one, then I will proceed to play this clamp, which I think is very, very good for black, because I thought if I can capture this stone, this will make sure that my group is alive with some of the territories, and at the same time not afraid of this group to be captured, because if he play this one, then I have this one. If he hane, then I can cut. There's no good move here for the whites. If he capture, I can play this Atari and then this one, then it will separate the group on the right hand side and the left hand side. So if he has to, for example, play this one, then I can even capture here. If he capture, I just capture. So if it connects, I can play this one to save my stone. So that's not very good move for white to capture the right hand side. So I proceed to play this one. But then, so L3 is actually a huge mistake. So this is wrong. So don't learn from me. This is not correct. So I read incorrectly because I mistakenly for a move which is strong for white. I did not notice that, because in this kind of position, you won't be thinking that white can actually play this one. Normally, we think this move is not possible. The reason is you are going
allowing
towards
black to divide at L4.
Yeah, you are allowing your opponents to cut K4 and your group, and it won't be it just intuitively not good. But if you calculate it further, you notice that there's not very good move for black to save these stones as well. So if you play like something like this one and then he captures, then your stone is dead. But if you are playing something like this one, then he played this one, then your group is also dead.
So maybe
the
black
best
could only play the M2.
Play this one. Yeah, but this will be very unacceptable, because now this stone looks so stupid, right?
Yeah.
The AI suggests that in this position, the only move for black would be something like this, which
oh my god,
I think would be very difficult for me to notice as well.
That's a broken shape.
Yeah, very broken shape. But then my opponent did not notice. So my opponent did not notice that this is very strong. So my opponent played this one. Then I'm happy, because now this follows what I expect. And then I play the Atari and then extend, and then I play this one. So this Kasumi, I was heavily criticized by the AI, which I personally think this is a very fundamental strategy that every Damen players must master. So the reason is here, for Damen players, I'm sure that for high Damen players, 8 out of 10 will choose K2. The reason is L2 and K2 can capture these two stones. So let's look at L2. So if you play L2, you play this one, and then you play this one, Atari captures. Okay, so this finished. If you play this one, then what if white play this one, then you block, and then if you Atari and then hane, black also capture the two stone. But the Kasumi create a threat on J3. So in the future, the cut, if the ladder is good for black, then black can cut. If it cannot be cut, the pip is also very strong. So we create a weak spot for the white. So I'm quite sure that 8 out of 10 of high Damen players will think about playing K2 instead of playing L2. But I was incorrect. So AI heavily criticized my move on K2, saying that I am too locally obsessed. I did not notice that the globally best move. So the reason he criticized my move on K2 is because what my opponent played in the real game. So what I was neglected is my opponent played perfectly here. He played the turn here, and then I played this one. My opponent played the Atari. I connect. So here I still feel very good, because I thought this kind of exchange is your right. You have your right to exchange this, but finally you have to proceed to play something like this one to let me capture. So this exchange is your right. You can play this. But my opponent at this point played a very amazing move. He played a jump, telling me that he is not obsessed with the territory on the bottom, thinking that the thickness in the center is more important. So he is not playing the Atari and Hane as a Sente, exchanging for a territory here. Instead, he's looking for something very abstract territory and thickness in the center, which is very, very surprising to me. When I was playing the game, I feel this move is a good move. So I played the extension, and then when he played Hane, I played the Hane. I was thinking if he is playing very strong, for example, if he plays a double Hane, then I'll play this push here. So if he connects and I push here, then the shape is broken. So if he blocks, then I can play the double Atari. So in this position, I was thinking, yeah, quite good for the black, right? So after he connects, I feel even better because now I extend these 3 stones is being cut away from the left hand side. So I was pretty happy here because after this kind of variation, my group is totally alive, thick, and this group is getting cut off. This 3 stone is being very lonely. And then he played this one. I play the Atari, and then he connects. And then here I have 2 choices. So the first choice is I play the jump to attack this group. Second is play what I play in the real game, play this one. I thought about playing this jump. So I was thinking if white, for example, follow the jump, then I still have some very conflict in my mind. If I should jump here, I should jump here. So if I play the jump here, then if he play this one, then now this cut is not possible because now he can play this one and capture. So if I have to play this one, then looks like a jump, and this jump is not very good for the black because now he can play something like this one to pressure my right group. And then after he pressure my right group, and then he goes something like this one, and then goes back to pressure my center. And then all the invisible center, and he can make use of this one to attack my group. So this is not what I want. And also, as what Michael has suggested, because in the future it is possible that white can just squeeze here, and then this will very naturally build up the area in here. So I was thinking, okay, so if I cannot find a very good way to attack this group, then what about I first destroy the territory of white? So I decided to play this one. So in this position, white will very difficult to get the territory on the bottom anymore, and white has to need to gain some benefit in the center to compensate for the loss for the bottom territory that black has gained. So white play the peep, which is a very, very amazing move. Also the best move suggested by the AI. So of course, my Kosumi here was also the best move indeed. So he played the peep. He's looking at, so he's asking what am I going to play. So if I'm playing something like this one, then in the future, white can choose to even Atari here if the liberty is good for white in the future. So here I chose a very clean move, which is this one, to make sure that I capture the 3 stone and make sure that white has only 2 liberties here. But this exchange with this exchange is beneficial for the white. And then he jump, aiming for what I just suggested, which is bring this one and this one. So I have no choice but to play the extension, and then he played this one. So after all these kind of variations, we can have a look at the game, like who is better in this position. So I thought black is satisfied when I was playing the game. The reason is I have the right hand side territory, I have the bottom territory. So what white has gained from this kind of variation? I would say only the center thickness and a little bit of the corner. But the corners he played the San, he played the 3-3, then it should be for the white territory. So I don't think this is a gain for the white. So I was quite happy that this kind of I thought black is very good in this position. But turns out AI tell me that no, this is a 50-50 game, and white actually play most of the move here are the best moves. So I think my openings are really not as good as my opponents. My opponents has a very deeper understanding than me in this kind of thickness and center influence understanding. Yeah, so I think he played really, really well. But still in the game, I feel like black is very good because that's my style. I like getting the points. So I play this one. So I was thinking if you refi, then after I play the Hane and then Tiger Mouth or even play this one, then I can successfully destroy the area in the center. Again, my opponent seems he can understand my thoughts and then he played this one. But this is not a very good move. So here, I feel like this is a little bit off, to be honest. And also AI think this should be a little bit criticized for this move because this is wrong because after 2 crawl in the third line, you are white. So white is forced to get a large area in the center, but the center is kind of getting distracted by these 2 moves here. So in the future, black can destroy center by the jump, and there are lots of invading options here. So it will be very difficult for white to play or get a very large area in the center. And the most important is after this exchange, black has a Sente. Because no matter what you play, then if he block here, then you play this one to make sure that your group is alive. If you play this one, then you play this one and then knight move or jump to make sure your group is alive. So kind of is a Miai. So here, if this is not a Sente, then this knight move is not the best. So here, the best move here suggested by the AI should be something like this one to ensure that you are getting the Sente. And he's telling us that these 2 stones is actually very strong. You don't have to afraid that these 2 stones will be dead. And if I am playing something like this one, then these stones exchange 1 and 2 automatically get you the territory here. At the same time, in the future, for example, this kind of push, and if you extend, in the future, there's this kind of move to squeeze the black. And in this point, white can actually play this one as well to pressure the black group. So if you play this one, then white can play this one. But if you play this one, then white can play this one. So, and at the same time, there's a stone on H2, which is helping. So if he want to capture my this white group, then this H2 stone helps. So if he play this one, then white can play the Kusumi, also possible. So yeah, so AI suggested the pincer would be a better choice. Okay, so in the real game, I crawl 3 times, and then in this position, it's time to think as black, what are the options?